how to make my show-stopping Easter Pavlova. The homemade meringue, whipped cream, strawberries, fruit, mini eggs. Just, it's amazing, it's perfect, and you're gonna love it. Whenever I'm making meringue, I always start with fresh egg whites. I tend to use medium eggs, so I use 6, but if you have large eggs, you can use 5. If you use the cartoned ones, sometimes because of the thickening agent in them, it can become a sloppy mess. So I always recommend fresh, but yeah, 6 medium egg whites. Disgusting. Because I'm using my stand mixer, I just use the balloon whisk. You can use small electric hand whisks, but honestly, it's easier if it's electric, otherwise your arm might hurt a little bit. When I'm making these, you want to make the egg whites go to stiff peaks. Honestly, it sounds a bit weird, but you just need to keep on whisking them until there's no egg white in the bottom of the bowl, and then you can slowly start adding your sugar. Once your egg whites are at stiff peaks, you add your caster sugar. Other people tend to add it with bigger spoonfuls, but I do a little teaspoon of caster sugar at a time, making sure it whisks in fully, and you'll have a lovely glossy meringue. Once you've added all of your sugar, it should be nice and glossy, like so, but I want to wipe around the edge of my bowl first. It just makes sure that all of the sugar has been caught and you're whisking it in properly. Now I've done the egg whites, I'm going to slowly add in some corn flour, some white wine vinegar, and some vanilla extract, one at a time. And then let that whisk. And once that's ready, you have a lovely glossy meringue that's just smooth and perfect and ready to pipe. It's just so sticky. This is my slightly unconventional method of filling the piping bag, but I have my favorite piping tip. That's the wrong piping tip. Sorry. This is my slightly unconventional method of filling the piping bag, but there's just a lot of meringue mixture. So I've grabbed my favorite piping tip, and this is a 2D closed star. It's a medium size, so you get a really nice swirl on it. And then a very large piping bag. You always want to snip off the end just to be able to fit the piping tip through. Make sure that goes in. And then I find, because there's a lot of mixture, it's easier to put the piping bag over something. So you're not trying to hold it and fill at the same time. It gets a little bit messy. And then you're ready to fill it. So once your meringue is ready, you want to grab a really large baking tray, basically the biggest that can fit in your oven. Put a lovely bit of greaseproof paper on it. I like one with a texture because it's easier to get off afterwards. And then I grab a small bowl. You can do this differently, where you draw 2 circles and use that as a guide, but sometimes I find it easier just to put a bowl in the middle and then you can sort of pipe around it and create your wreath. There's just so much meringue. Once your piping bag is ready, it's very, very full. So be careful when you're tightening the end to make sure it just doesn't go everywhere. But also make sure to grip it because it can easily just explode. But once you've got it, you just basically want to pipe whatever pattern you want onto the board, and then you can take the bowl out of the middle and have fun with it. Once you've got your initial base of the pavlova wreath there, you can take out the bowl in the middle and then just have fun piping on the rest of the meringue however you want. you can build it up and create different swirls and just make it an absolute showstopper piece. I like to do different swirls, different stars, and just create a lovely little pattern because it all comes out in the meringue once it's baked. Once the meringue is baked, it will like rise up and have a lovely colour to it, and you'll see all of this definition. So it's worth just having a bit of fun with it. I tend to find if you tighten the piping bag as you go, you'll have better control about what you're piping. And if you try and pipe directly downwards, you'll have the lovely swirls that you're after. Then the meringue is nearly used up and you just want to finish it off slightly. Make sure all of the meringue is somewhere on this beautiful pattern. And then we can bake. For a top tip, make sure to use the raw meringue to help stick the parchment paper down. Once you've piped all your meringue into the lovely shape that you're after, you then have to bake it in the oven. The thing about meringue is it's low and slow. So mine's a fan oven, so I bake at 130 degrees, and then you bake for an hour, turn off the oven and leave it to cool overnight. You don't want to open the oven door, you want it to just dry itself out. So it's the better thing to bake in the evenings if you want it fresh for the next day. And then once it's baked and cooled properly, you have a meringue. Once your meringue is ready, now you can do the decoration. I always do a sweetened whipped cream. So I grab my double cream into a bowl. You can use whipping cream if you want, but you just basically want it to pipe, so you want it to be a bit thick. I add some icing sugar because it helps stabilize the cream. I then grab my electric whisk. You can do this by hand as well, it's just quicker this way, and you want to whip it to soft peaks. And then you have some lovely whipped cream. I've got another piping bag and another of my favourite piping nozzles. You can just dollop the cream on if you want at this point, but I'm going proper showstopper for this one. So for the piping bag, I just snip off the end so I can add the piping tip. Add the piping bag to a glass, just to make it easier to fill, and then fill with my cream. I need a spatula. This is so awkward. And then I'm ready to pipe. I know it might seem a little bit faffy to make your own whipped cream, but if you use the squirty cream cans, it's just going to deflate straight away, so it's definitely worth making your own. And then we're done. Now we can decorate. Now I've piped my whipped cream on, you can decorate with whatever you want. I tend to use different fruits, so I've got strawberries and blueberries. And then I've got some fresh raspberries and some freeze-dried raspberries. If you follow my blog, you know how much I love these, but they're beautiful and they taste nice. And then of course I have some mini eggs and some sprinkles. I like to be quite random when I'm putting my toppings on. I tend to find if you think about it too much, you can get a little bit stressed about it. I just like going random, plopping it wherever I want, making sure there are enough mini eggs on there. If you wanted to do different fruits, you can, like any sort of berry will work, even mango or kiwi or whatever you want. Sometimes I use different flavoured mini eggs as well, or I use Smarty ones, chunks of chocolate, anything I fancy or even just have in the cupboards.